fire Dalton Trumbo.
I don't think you and me are going to be pals.
Do you have to say everything like it's going to be chiseled into a rock?
Whisper a movie you've written in secret. Maybe I've even heard of it.
Maybe you have.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas Jennings and welcome to a movie review. Today's film, we're looking at Trumbo. Trumbo stars Bryan Cranston, John Goodman, and various other cast members, including Louis C.K., which is one of my favorite comedians of this past decade. And this film follows Dalton Trumbo during the 1940s and 1950s McCarthyism era. For a historical background, real quick, the 1940s and 50s followed suit with the McCarthyism era. And for those of you who don't know, McCarthyism was essentially the Salem witch trials of the 1950s. They were basically going after thousands upon thousands of workers, teachers, directors, writers, everyone who was presumed to be communist. They would be charged with communism. They would lose their jobs, they would lose their credibility, and they would lose money. And some even considered doing suicide, and most of them did do suicide. Dalton Trumbo was one of these people and was put on the infamous blacklisting of Hollywood, along with various other writers and directors and actors. And Trumbo is a very emotionally filled film. I thought Bryan Cranston did a very great job with playing Dalton Trumbo. Trumbo is a prophetic writer. He wrote thousands upon thousands of scripts. He did Spartacus. He did under a surname for a while. He did Roman Holiday, and essentially, Dalton Trumbo is a communist during this era of film, and it basically follows the trials and tribulations of post being convicted as a communist. You know, he just gets out of prison, and he tries to work around the system to try to bring the blacklist down. This is a great film, and it took me a while to really get my notes together on this one, because this is a really hard film to review. There's going to be crowds that don't like the concept of communism at all, and you know, there's some people who like the idea of communism. And this movie really shouldn't even be about politics. It should be the idea of expressing your own views and ideas. You know, just because you are label A does not mean that you shouldn't be able to do part B. You know, like if I were to say I'm Hindu, just because I'm Hindu does not mean I can't write movies, you know. And this film has moments in it where you see the pressure of what he's doing, not just in himself, but in his family. This whole thing reverberates throughout his entire life. It reverberates in his wife, it reverberates in his daughters, his son, his co-workers, his friends, his allies, his enemies. It reverberates everywhere. And there's little references to what had been happening during this time. And you know, and the writing is solid. And John Goodman is a pretty great cast member. And the best moment in this film is when, like, so there's a guy who figures out that Dalton Trumbo is working with John Goodman's character, and he's like, well, I can get you John Wayne, you know, I can get you to meet John Wayne, but you have to fire Dalton Trumbo. And he's like, well, that's a good proposition, but I don't think we're going to be big friends, you know. And he, like, takes a freaking bat and just whacks it around, and the best moment in that one scene was, like, he's admitting that his films are pieces of crap, you know. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, watch the film. If you can find it near your theaters, if you can find it somewhere near you, watch it. This is a good film. It screams Oscar bait. It really does. And I'm not one for those films that, like, you know, screams Oscar bait, because obviously he's going to be part of the Oscars in some form or fashion. But aside from being an Oscar bait film, it's a good film nonetheless. You know, you could still have fun with this film. This is a funny film. There's a lot of funny parts in it. And if you understand history during this time frame, you'll get a lot of the jokes and you'll get a lot of the insight that's in this film. Some flaws I have with this film. Some of the pacing for me just doesn't work. But it's kind of forgiven with a lot of the performances in this film. And by far the best scene in this entire movie is the final scene. And I'm not going to talk about anything that has to do with the final scene. It's a great scene. It's basically all encompassing of the last 2.5 hours of the film. You know, it talks about, it talks about stuff that I can't spoil here. But if you want, go see Trumbo. This is going to be put on the Academy. Sorry. This is going to be put on the Academy Awards list. I really feel like it. Will it win Best Picture? I don't know. For me, it will win Best Picture. It's my choice to win Best Picture anyway. But however, we still have 1 month ahead with The Revenant and In the Heart of the Sea, which I will be doing reviews for both of those, as well as The Force Awakens, which comes out in less than 2 weeks. And I'm excited as any person, really. So with that in mind, guys, Trumbo, for me, gets a 9 out of 10. It's a great film. I recommend it for anyone who's a film buff, a history buff, or just wants to have some enjoyment with Bryan Cranston. If you're a fan of Bryan Cranston or John Goodman or Louis C.K., you'll have a great time with this film, I feel. For some, it may be boring of an idea, and it's been repeatedly hit in the head, but it's still a fun film. It's a great film, and I recommend it for Best Picture of the Year. So, what did you guys think of Trumbo? Did you watch Trumbo? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this content, if you want to see more reaction videos, if you want to see more movie reviews, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, and as always, peace out, Cub Scouts.